Brightside Oysters. It's an oyster farm in Grand Isle, Louisiana. And I grow oysters for the premium half-shell market. And I originally got interested in oysters because they do a lot of really great things for the environment. They provide habitat for all kinds of different species because they grow in these nice reef structures. And those hard reef structures also protect against coastal erosion. They slow down wave action, so they kind of help reduce the amount of erosion and action that the waves have on the coast. But the oysters also are filter feeders, so they take in the seawater, they filter out the algae that they want to eat, and they spit out everything else. So they help to clean the water. When they grow their shells, they use calcium carbonate, which is found in the water. So this helps to buffer the pH of the water. But after I learned about all these great things they do for the environment, I kind of started looking into careers where I could work with oysters. And eventually I started helping other farmers, and finally got my own oyster lease about 3 years ago. And it's about a half mile on the bay side of Grand Isle. It's in Caminata Bay or Barataria Bay. It's a 1 acre plot, and grow my oysters there in floating cages. So I put down 2 anchors. They look like the ones they use for telephone poles that screw into the ground. Put those down into the water bottom, tie a rope between the 2 anchors, and I tie my cages off to the rope. And they're just floating there in the water. So I buy little baby oysters from a hatchery. They call those seed or spat oysters. And I get them at about 2 millimeters, and I put them in a cage with real small, fine mesh. And this keeps the oyster in the cage, but allows water to flow in as well. And as they grow, I split them out into more and more cages with larger and larger mesh size. This just ensures that they're able to get enough water flow over them to grow as quickly as possible. The way the oysters have been traditionally done in Louisiana is to pull a dredge behind the boat. And that basically scrapes the oysters off the bottom into a little sack, and then it's pulled onto the boat. These oysters are great, but they're living on the bottom their entire life, so they don't have any protection from predators, which means that they have to grow this really thick, hard shell to be able to protect themselves. My oysters grown in cages are protected from those predators, and this allows them to grow with a thinner shell, prettier shell, and they have a better survival rate. So being that they're floating in the water, they're bouncing around in the waves, which helps to chip the edges of the shell. And when it grows back, it makes this nice little cup shape. So when you shuck the oyster stays in the shell, and it makes for a nice presentation on the plate. Also, being in the top couple inches of the water, it gives the oysters access to more of the algae that they eat, more of the oxygen that they need. So this helps them with their faster growth rate as well. Oysters that I grow are also sterile, so they're not putting any of their energy towards spawning, which means in the summer months, when meat quality usually goes down, meat quality of my oysters stays the same. And not having to worry about the spawning also helps with that faster growth rate. So you might be saying, why doesn't everybody grow oysters like this? Well, one of the things is it's a higher investment to get into it, both money and time. But also, Louisiana has just always had really abundant oyster populations, so we haven't really needed to go try something new. Louisiana is actually the largest producer of oysters in the U.S. We grow about 30% of the nation's oysters, and the reason for this is the Mississippi River. The river and its tributaries put a crazy amount of nutrients and fresh water into the Gulf, and the nutrients are what the algae needs to grow, which feeds the oysters, and the fresh water mixes with the salt water of the Gulf. It creates a nice brackish water that the oysters like, but we also have really warm water, which is great for year-round growth of oysters. But unfortunately, we've had a drop in the population of oysters since probably the early 2000s or earlier than that even. And while we're still kind of the top dog as far as oyster production goes in the U.S., we will probably see a decline further from that. And actually, the world's population of oysters is down by almost 90%. And a lot of this is just due to pollution, overharvesting, and coastal development issues. And in a lot of areas where that's really affected the population of oysters, the off-bottom farming has been a great way to go in there and grow a bunch of oysters and keep the environmental benefits that the oysters provide in that area. So hopefully we can see more of this happening in Louisiana. It's still pretty new here. There's not a lot of us doing it. But hopefully we can promote this and get more people coming in, and we'll have a lot more interest and a lot more people out in the water doing this kind of work. So.
Look, that was the best raw oyster I've ever had in my life. Real talk, man. I wasn't a person that would eat them raw, but I would eat those raw every single time. Delicious.